Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Chasing Dreams podcast with Charlie and Justin. We're on episode 129. Once again, for this week, we are recording a day early, which is nice because we always talk about not waiting to the last minute, which we have a bad habit of doing. Got to talk about the weather like we always do. It's terrible out. It's raining, but it's supposed to be 80 and sunny this weekend, right?
Yeah. Sunday, I believe, right?
I believe so. I want to be able to get work done because I have so much going on, and I never have time to be outside and do that sort of thing. Well, I told you last time, it was a week or two ago, that we actually had a little bit of some nice weather, and I had a few hours of free time. I actually got to go to the park and play basketball, which is extremely rare, especially because, number one, the weather's never nice, and number two, I never have free time. So for those both to happen was almost like a statistical, it's like a statistical impossibility. So I was actually really, really happy that I got to have that stuff done. So how has your week been? Good?
It was long. Very long week.
Yeah, you had a lot of work. I know that. Yeah. I mean, see, that's the difference between you and I is you have a lot of work, as do I, but mine is scripted and structured and very, very type A aligning, where yours is not. It's chaotic.
Very on call. And yeah.
Yeah, I would not be able to do what you do just because of the nature of me not having a high degree of like ability to adapt to spontaneity. I can't do it. So, but anyway, man, this is a great episode for us coming up, especially because we have a special guest joining us.
Yes.
So you and I talked about at the beginning of the year, one of our goals was to have a certain number of guests on. We had three really quick at the beginning of the year. It took some time where it's just you and I recording. And I had a conversation with one of my buddies and also a client of mine, which hopefully he listens to this episode because I know he listens frequently. And one of the feedback kind of markers that he gave to me was that a lot of times we could have episodes where there's not like a very high degree of impact. Like we're not giving actionable steps or tips or something that's genuinely helpful to people. So I figured that was, kind of a sense that we need to get some guests back on, because that's essentially the whole premise of the podcast to begin with, was us interviewing other people. It had nothing to do with you and I sharing tips. It's us getting tips from other people, trying to connect the dots of what successful people's lives look like. And hopefully we can take those actionable steps and kind of foray them into our own lives and trying to be moderately successful.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I was going to say. I like to take the tips we get from guests and then implement them in my life and then be able to talk about them later.
Yeah, absolutely. So without further ado, we will welcome on our guest. So I don't like to kind of preface our guests coming on with too much information, because I always feel like I do them a disservice, where I try to give a little background info I usually let the other people speak for themselves. So joining us today is Elaine Gardner. She is occupational therapy assistant, so she has a background in special education, has a special needs son, and so she is highly, highly involved. And I told someone that she knows more about people with special needs than any person I've ever met, which is saying a lot considering I've been in special education myself for, over half a decade, going on, I can't believe I'm saying this, almost like 10 years now.
Yeah.
And she has also a certified personal trainer. And what she has done is actually blended the two, special adaptive needs, and brought those types of people into the gym and show them that the gym is a place where they can flourish and find success. So without further ado, let's welcome Elaine Gardner onto the show.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me tonight.
Yes, thank you for coming in. So Elaine and I actually have I don't want to say a previous relationship, because it's not like it's been that long, to be honest. Just a matter of 2 months maybe, that you and I?
Well, we knew each other, but didn't realize we knew each other.
Yeah.
From when I worked here at the school.
Yeah. So one of the first things she said to me was how familiar I looked, and then we connected the dots and realized that we had actually worked together in some capacity and saw the same students and knew the same people, and where we live is kind of a small community.
Right.
But I feel like, this sounds really corny, but I feel like, Elaine, you and I have known each other for a lot longer, just because mentality's the same and we feel kind of the same way. So just to get started, some people may not know you. I know a lot of our community does, and a lot of our inner circle people do. But just for our listeners that are countrywide and hopefully worldwide too, what kind of what kind of information can you give us about yourself? Like, you can take this and be as thorough or as precise or as skimpy as you want to be. Just who are you? What do you stand for? What has brought your life to this point, joining us at this table?
Okay, so first of all, you never give a woman the green light to talk about herself without a time limit. But so I'm Elaine. and I'm 45 years old. I've grew up in this area my whole life. If you would have told me 3 months ago that I would be sitting here talking to you about health and fitness and wellness and pursuing a career in that area, I would have bet the house that was not going to happen. So about 3 years ago, I decided to make a lifestyle change for myself, and I wanted to get healthy. There was a girl, I got to shout out Lindsay Maloney, and I reached out to her, and we kind of went back and forth for about 6 months before I finally said yes and committed to her program. And just to kind of give you the Cliff Notes version, within the past 3 years doing like at-home workouts, nutrition and stuff, I lost like 25 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So during the pandemic, I noticed during the shutdown that it had a profound effect on my son. I have a 25-year-old son that is a person with autism. And just kind of being cooped up in the house, there wasn't a lot of activity to do. Literally, like, the only thing to do at that time was to go somewhere and get something to eat, and that was usually through a drive-through.
Now, I have to interrupt you there. Did he have a difficult time adapting to the schedule changes? Because I know that typically individuals with autism, and it varies, but one of the common themes that you see with a lot of people is a difficult time adapting or adjusting to a new schedule, which that was not just a day of a new schedule. I mean, that was months of a new schedule for all of us. I mean, I even had difficult time adapting to it. So was that part of the issue as well, like him not doing things that he wanted to do when he wanted to do them?
Yes, because he actually, when he realized that the workshop had closed and that he wouldn't be going back for a long time, he did something that he usually never does, and he cried.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really like, wow, this, people didn't realize like how much this was affecting people like him that, they thrive on routine and schedule.
Yeah.
So to go from that to now just kind of like not being able to do anything, not being able to go see family and stuff, so it was very difficult on him. So I noticed he was gaining a lot of weight, and he's always been like always moving, like he's always walking, he's always moving, and we kind of went to like just like the world just kind of came to a halt. Mm-hmm. So during that time, I was still continuing to exercise because I exercised at home. So the gyms being closed and stuff, that really didn't affect me. So I would kind of bring him down to the basement with me and, kind of say, Isaiah, let's do this, let's move. We would go for a lot of walks and things like that. At that time, some people I knew, they were doing like online training and like exercises and stuff. And I'm one of those people that I don't like to be stagnant. So I thought, okay, I have a lot of downtime. And at that time, I pursued my group fitness instruction certification. That was in 2020. So then in 2021, I thought, well, I would like to become a personal trainer. And I would like to train people like my son to help them get healthy. And so,
which is a very unique demographic, especially considering a gym setting. Like Elaine, you and I talked about before about how there's this stigma or this stereotype that people generally talk about when they talk about gym. And it's very ironic for me because one of the things you hear about the gym all the time is people are intimidated because everybody's in shape, where ironically it's literally the exact opposite, that people are not in shape and that's why they're going to the gym. And I've heard people make several comments, just friends of mine and colleagues of mine and family members that don't go to the gym because they feel like it's not a place for them. Mm-hmm. And this may sound a little bit cliche, but the gym is really a place for everybody. And a lot of people don't realize, they don't have like kind of the guidance or the comfort level to be able to understand that everybody can go to the gym, no matter how corny that sounds. It's really the truth. And I feel like one of your goals probably was to try to show that path to a lot of people that didn't think that they belonged in a gym.
Yeah, and not only for the people that felt like they don't belong, but I guess for people in the gym setting too, like the people that frequent the gym, to see that these people that have different needs and different abilities can come and do these things too.
Mm-hmm. It puts a perspective and change for both of them, I would think.
Yeah, to me, it's inspiring when I see the things that our people do, which we can get into that a little bit later when we talk about the classes and stuff. But so just I was studying for my personal trainer. In the meantime, I stumbled across this place on Instagram called The Adaptive Athlete, and they were in California. And they have this amazing facility, and I just kind of comment on it like this would be my dream one day. And I got a like on the comment and a follow from a place in Texas. And when I looked further into it, they had training and certification where you could become certified to train people with special needs. You became an adaptive needs personal trainer and group fitness instructor. So in conjunction with getting my personal trainer certification, I also studied to become certified to do the people with special needs.
Now, I'm sorry, can you refresh on the timeline? You said that you had gotten your group training certificate.
That was in 2020.
Mm-hmm. So you were doing these two now, your individual personal training certificate and the adaptive needs training.
Yes.
You were doing those simultaneously.
Yes, because you couldn't, unless you were a physical therapist or a personal trainer, you could not get the certification for the special needs.
Got it.
So I was doing those, in conjunction with each other, and finished them both. I passed my ACE through the American Council on Exercise personal training certification in January, and also the adaptive special needs certification. And that's through a company called Strong Education outside of Texas. Well, I'm sorry, outside of Dallas in Texas. Mm-hmm. So that is kind of how all of that came about.
Cool.
That's fantastic.
Now, so to kind of get everybody up to speed, we're probably going to skip a lot of steps in between there in terms of your personal life, but you and I got introduced where it was my understanding that you actually approached the gym owner at our gym and had a discussion with him about personal training just because you were looking to finally, put these certifications and these concentrations that you have earned, these accreditations, you wanted to put them to use. So how did you actually get started at our facility that we both now are currently employed at?
Okay, so when I got my group fitness instruction certification, I posted something on Facebook, and the owner of RAM reached out to me like, hey, if you ever want to teach any classes, let me know. Well, at that time, I didn't have the time to do it, and so I, was like, okay, I'll let you know. So then when I got my personal training certification, I remembered him being somebody that had reached out to me. And then when I knew that I wanted to specialize in people with special needs, knowing that he had a special needs daughter of his own, I thought, who better to do this? Who else is going to understand my passion and my love for these people in the special needs population. So it was a no-brainer that was who I wanted to reach out to and who I wanted to partner up with.
And I mentioned, to kind of preface the episode, about how you and I had an instant connection just because mindset was very similar and stuff. And to be honest, I saw a lot of myself in you in terms of being a new trainer, where there was almost that, we've talked about it before, Justin, that imposter syndrome, where you're good at something and you have the ability to do something, but there's almost not a sense of lack of self-worth, but you just wonder,
you feel like you don't belong.
Am I really good enough to do this? And there's kind of some doubt that creeps in and stuff, but it was really a great blend for all three of us because you live special needs every day with your son and then your occupational therapy work that you do. I live it every day with working in special education as a special education teacher and intervention specialist. And then the owner at the gym we work at, Randy, likewise, as you mentioned, with his daughter. So it's three people that really had a high degree of relatability because you can try to be empathetic and understanding of, what it takes to work with individuals with special adaptive needs. But until you're really entrenched in it, you don't understand that it takes a lot of patience. And a lot of times you may not feel like you fit into that demographic or working with that demographic of people. For me, when I got into special education, it was kind of a long story, but I had actually graduated with a second degree in special education as a formality only because I had there was a schedule conflict and I was left with three options: either take a semester off because the classes I needed weren't being offered at that time, take up electives, which was just wasting thousands of dollars for useless classes that weren't going to count towards my degree at all, or I could pick up a secondary major. So what I did was I dual majored in special education, and I thought, I don't think I have the patience for this. I don't think I'd be able to ever see myself doing this, but I selfishly thought it was a good marketing tool because it makes me a little bit more flexible in terms of the people that I can work with. But again, never foresaw myself pursuing that. When I got offered a special education job right out of college, I took it, obviously, because jobs as an educator are potentially a little bit limited. At least that's what they preach to initially is, hey, finding the perfect job in education is going to take years and years and years. Like to find the right school district or the perfect grade level teaching the subject you want to teach, you don't really have the saying power in where you want to teach, what you want to teach, what school district you want to be in. So you're kind of left with this, almost like this pressure to find any job that you can get. So what I did was I took a special education job, and it was like something that I kind of, again, didn't foresee myself doing this long term. I'm like, okay, I'll bide my time here, maybe look for something that's just in general education, just being a quote normal teacher. And ultimately, this is where I fell, and this is where I stay. And there's irony in that too, where I couldn't see myself leaving it. Like, this is what I like to do. Like, I don't know if I could get into any other role in a school setting, at least right now. So anyway, the point of all that is I feel like the three of us had a really, really good connection initially, which made like the transition into work.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like
awesome.
fate. And then, so a little bit of information. You kind of spearheaded everything that's going on at our facility in terms of kind of like what type of programming we're offering now at the gym. So it was nice because with the owner and myself, I was really the only one that was taking on client load. My clientele was very, very specific demographically speaking, where I had 98% athletes and 2% general population people. Randy, the owner, had mainly the general population people. So you really broke everybody into two categories. If you're a quote normal person, like, someone who's past school age and doesn't play sports, you would generally go to Randy with the exception of a few. And then if you were an athlete or a competitor of some sort, you would come to me. So you kind of created a new niche there, like a new wave of people where people with physical disabilities or mental impairments, they came to you. And so you decided to start up some type of program or group class that we could do. And when we kind of had those conversations really early on, we had an idea, or at least you had an idea, because I don't want to take credit for kind of like creating this. You engendered this. This is your child here. But we didn't really know what we wanted to do. So what we did was we kind of had like an open house. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of, the introduction. And I remember you saying to me how shocked you were that everything progressed so quickly. So do you want to kind of like lead us through like where your brain was when you first came into the gym, what your brain was telling you in terms of getting started, and then how this kind of cascaded and there was like this avalanche that happened so quickly to within a couple of weeks we had 3 group classes with more on the way and full classes for each of them. So how did that kind of transition for you?
So when I had approached Randy with the idea, he was like, okay, let me know what you're thinking. We sat down, we brainstormed. We came up with the idea of having an open house that we could bring the families and the clients in. And basically it was like an open forum because nobody around here has done anything like this.
No.
So basically it was us saying, okay, this is what we're thinking. Now give us your feedback on how we can come together and do this and make this successful.
Right, making a plan.
Yeah.
And I made sure that what we did was like when I would talk to people, because we'd have people call the gym all the time when I was working there and say, hey, what's this open house for this special needs like training that you guys are doing? And we explained that we offered, because we knew we were going to offer 2 options. We're going to offer group training and we're going to offer like one-on-one, like true personal training. Other than that, we didn't really know. So I tried to make it I tried to be super transparent with the parents and the caregivers that were bringing, their students or their loved ones in. And I told them that this open house is just as much for us as it is for you guys, because realistically in any type of business or service or, public work, it's supply and demand. So we have the supply. We can tailor this any way you want it, but we need to know what the demand is. What type of things do you think would be good, for your loved one? Would it be a group training scenario? And then we kind of had to also look at the types of people we're doing. Because when you look at adaptive needs, that could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be mental, cognitive, anything.
Right.
So there's going to be varying levels of people that come to this. For example, one of the people that came, her name's Jordan, so I have to give Jordan a shout out. Jordan was paralyzed in a side-by-side accident after she had graduated from college. So she was a 4-year college pitcher, so she played college athletics. So this is someone who lived in the gym for 20-some years. Then when she was paralyzed, she lost all motor control from her chest down, has a lot of limitations even in the upper body, and so she came there. Now, again, you have to look at appropriateness of placement. She's doing one-on-one training with me, but if we were to put her in a group, then we would need to make sure, because she has no cognitive or no mental deficits at all. So it wouldn't be appropriate to put her with some people who have a little different cognitive function than she did from a mental standpoint. So again, not only did we need to learn where we were going to steer the ship, but I guess what crew members were going to be on the ship too.
Right.
So it was really hard for us to navigate around until we had that open house, which I don't know. And Justin, you should have seen it, man. There was probably, how many people would you say there?
Over 30.
I was going to say probably upwards of 50, to be honest.
That's incredible. Yeah. I mean, when I seen that you guys were doing this thing, I was like, wow, I want to be involved. I wish I had my stuff, my certifications, because it would be something that would be very rewarding. You're more
than welcome to join us. And seriously.
Well, we've had, and I've talked to you about that, Justin. I had the same thing where I had people that were blowing up my social media, blowing up my phone, saying, hey, I just wanted to let you know. And it's people that have no type of investment or relatability to something like this. They don't have any loved ones with special needs. They don't work in education or anything like that. But they just said, hey, I saw what you do, and that's really, really cool. What was very impactful for me was I would have kids, 7th and 8th grade kids that I train, say how meaningful that was and how they thought that was so cool. So even young kids are seeing the impact, Elaine, of what you're kind of bringing to us and what you're putting on the table.
You're legitimately changing the world, even if it's just at a local level here. That's good. No, it really is, though. I mean, people don't. I was thinking about this on my way over here. People don't think about people with special needs, on a daily basis. Not that they're ignorant to it. It's not something that most people think about. So
there's a lack of relatability, right?
Exactly.
If you're not with you.
Unfortunately, a lot of people don't think about something, or I hate to say it, they don't care about something until it affects them directly.
Right. And
absolutely.
It's not that I don't think that they care even so much as they don't know that they need to care. Because like you said, they don't have any kind of physical connection to the topic. So whether it's weight loss or somebody with special needs or a physical or mental handicap, something like that, they don't know until they know. So I grew up with this stuff. My mom's worked with people with special needs her whole life. So when she first got into her field, she was a volunteer at the workshop here in town. So I actually was a hugger for the Special Olympics for 7 years. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing, and that's the only interaction I had with it. But with this community and this thing, and then it's been, gosh, I don't know, maybe 10 years since then. And then I seen that, and I was like, man, that's where it's at.
And I think that
amazing.
You kind of alluded to it earlier, Elaine, when you said that not only does this help the clients that we're bringing in for this programming, but it also is helping the people at the gym to kind of raise awareness of that sort of thing. Right. Because what it reminds me of is I did a lot of writing in college for different things. I was actually a ghostwriter for a professional bodybuilder, where I would write his articles for Flex magazine that are technically his articles, but they don't write their own articles. They have ghostwriters and stuff. And I wrote for a supplement company for their website. So I did a lot of writing in college. And one of the pieces that I remember writing was called The Relativity of Suffering. So what it was just saying how all suffering is relative. So do you guys remember My Sweet 16? The show on MTV where they would have these elaborate 16-year-old birthday parties, and these kids would throw fits because they got the red Lamborghini instead of the yellow one that they wanted, and they were spoiled brats. And there was also, and I don't want to be dismissive of people being brats, but at the same time, we are really restricted or relegated to our experiences. So, if I go to a restaurant and my steak's not done the way I want it, I'm going to get upset about that. I may not be vocal about it, but it's going to upset me and it's going to like ruin my meal. And I could say, well, there's starving people across the world that don't get to eat today. But it's difficult for me to think about that because I haven't been through that and I haven't suffered through that. Now I'm aware of it, I'm cognizant of it, but that's not something that I can think about every time I eat is how many starving people there are in the world.
Right.
Because I feel like, and Justin, you and I have talked about this before, like we are so blessed with so many things. It's like if you break your leg, all you want to do is be able to walk. But every day when I'm walking everywhere, I'm not thinking how grateful I am to walk. We have so much to be grateful for. And I think kind of like we were saying, that individuals with special needs are much the same way. We all know that it's present. We all know what it entails. And I would think that most humane people have some bit of sympathy for the amount of work it takes on a family or a caregiver to provide, because that becomes your whole life. But they don't truly understand because they're not around it every day. So like you say, Justin, like how people forget about it and stuff, but it's almost like that is the expectation, that you would certainly expect people to forget. But how do you go about correcting that? You get someone like Elaine who's bringing an awareness to that and publicizing it, saying, hey, these people are around, they have remarkable abilities, which kind of leads us to the title of your fitness program, the All Abilities Fitness. How did you come up with that name? I mean, it's very, very fitting and perfect, but like, I don't know. It's just like, it's something that's very, very appropriate. And I think in the name itself, All Abilities Fitness is very motivating.
I fell in love with the name. I'm just saying.
So the name came from not just wanting to focus on one special need, because there's so many. Obviously, the autism population, that's close to my heart because that's what I eat, sleep, and breathe every single day with my son. But you have so many disabilities. We have a girl that we work with who was born typical, and she had a traumatic brain injury, and so now she has some challenges. But she is a college graduate. She holds a job, but she has special needs. So, and we also have caregivers that participate in the class too, because that's really important for me as a mother, that I want these caregivers to focus on their health as well, because they need to be healthy to take care of their loved ones. So for me, the term like all abilities encompasses everything from, physical, your age, just everything. If you have a balance deficit, if you have a cognitive deficit, a medical condition, this class isn't just for one specific person or one disability. It's literally for everybody of all abilities.
Yes. And again, that kind of points back to the open house that we held, because we knew we were probably going to get a high degree of variance or polarity between the people we were bringing in. So how do you group them appropriately? Okay, let's see what people we think, because obviously if you go based on time schedule, but we need to make sure that people are gelling together and in the rooms that they should be, or in the group that they should be, which I have to admit, you have done a phenomenal job of adapting, coincidentally enough, hence the name, every single thing that we do. So like Elaine really opened my eyes, because every drill or workout or exercise that we do, she probably has 300 variations that everybody can do it. So like something very simple that sticks out, like a battle rope. So the ropes that you see people doing for exercise purposes, you could do it standing. You could do it double arm, single arm. She has people that sit on a Swiss ball for a little bit of stability, but not much, because you still have to balance and have adequate core control to be able to sit down. Some people that do like a high kneeling posture, is that the term for it, the high kneel? Tall kneel. Mm-hmm. She has some people that will sit on a box. And there's just so many different nuance items that go into every single thing that we do. And it's kind of like really, really cool to see how like the things that I do in the classroom, like taking the gen ed curriculum and trying to adapt it so someone can understand it a little bit better based on their needs. She does the same thing in the gym with everything. And I think the most remarkable part about the program lies in the fact that this was a dream that is starting to manifest in reality. So like Elaine and I have had several talks at the gym about how quickly this has all come about and how this is the true manifestation of what you wanted it to become. And I remember just, to put this out there, because this was a great conversation that we had, is after our very first day of group classes, we had, I think, 3 of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were highly attended. I think overall we probably had at least 20 people, I would say, that we worked with on that very first day. I mean, heck, when we had the open house, almost everybody that attended the open house signed up at the open house. So
we thought it was going to be like, oh, we're going to go home, think about it, let us wait and see. But literally, people were signing up that day.
Yeah, before they even got a tour of the facility or anything. It was fantastic.
That speaks volumes to the way you can present this topic.
Well, and I think
people don't just do that anymore.
I think also part of it has to do with comfort level on the caregiver. So, I mean, Elaine, you can speak to that from example or living it, that it's very, I think it would be, I don't want to say that it would be, but I think that it would be, I assume that it would be, if you have a loved one with special needs, it would be very, very difficult to relinquish control in a sense to someone else. Like, I spent my whole life caring for this individual. It's going to be very difficult for me to hand over this individual, even for a short period of time, to someone unless I really trust them. So I think that part of the market value in terms of getting people to trust us came from the fact that the 3 of us live this every single day. Where it would be different, I think, if we were just personal trainers that have the certification to get someone in shape. Not only do we have that, but we have the work experience and then, of course, the empathy to be able to work with individuals like that. I think it goes a long way. Mm-hmm. So it was definitely very, very cool to see. But after our first day of classes, like what you're saying, Elaine was like overjoyed, or at least you seem like it based on your body language and your smile. And anyone who knows Elaine, she's the very genuine smile that you can't see on radio, on podcast. And she asked me, she said, like, not asked, but kind of like rhetorically was stating about how well it went. She's like, I can't believe it was like, it went that well. Like, this was awesome. And I said, oh, I can. Like, I was like very nonchalant and borderline dismissive of it. And I said, just a testament to her alone, like, hey, you are so good at this stuff and you're so confident in this stuff that, like, I had no doubt that this was going to be a hit. Yeah. I mean, maybe you obviously didn't believe it, but there's a little bit of like reservation, like, hey, this is going to probably take some time to ultimately get it to where I want it to, but I think it's starting to snowball a lot faster than you think.
There was a lot of, it was kind of like, it was good that nobody had done anything like this before, because then there was nothing to compare it to.
Right.
But it was also like, okay, nobody's done this before and we're doing this, and it's either going to be wonderful or it's going to be a big flop. And these people are going to say this is stupid and we're never coming back to this class ever again.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure with it.
It was a lot of pressure to, to present something that people felt was worthwhile. And I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? I know what I want to say, but I can't think of the word. I'm sorry. Like something, that they wanted to keep coming back for, that was sustainable, that wasn't just like a fly-by-night.
Yeah, they're going to get value from it.
Yes, and that they're going to want to keep coming back, and that they're going to tell people like, hey, you should come participate in this. So it was a lot of pressure, but oh my God, and Charlie can attest to this. I don't think my face hurt so bad after that first day from smiling, because it was so much fun. Like, we had a blast, and so it was just kind of like so many emotions, like,
that's awesome.
Like joy and like relief, I guess. Like, okay, yeah, we did it. But I literally, there's a difference between happiness and joy. Mm-hmm. I feel like happiness is conditional, but joy is just like something that it's just there and you just can't contain it. And that's literally how I feel every Saturday. Like, it's just like 3 hours of just pure joy. Yep. Like, if you come there and you don't leave there with a smile on your face and fulfilled, like, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Literally.
And you see it all the time where I get even like comments all the time of people asking me about the class. Like, hey, how's the class going? Like, hey, how was last Saturday? Hey, you guys getting more people? Are you retaining people? Because that's a key to it. You got people to come. You want to sustain them, like you mentioned. And I said, yeah, it's going great. We seem to get more and more interest generated all the time. And I think the biggest thing that I want to like talk about with you, and I'm sure Justin feels the same way, is with the Chasing Dreams podcast. It's all about chasing dreams. And again, we've mentioned it before. This is a manifestation of your dream starting to come to reality. And one of the things, the main thing that we use this podcast for is to try to get information from people. So like, hey, you are making your dreams come true. Justin and I are in the process of trying to do that ourselves. Like, let's have an idea exchange. What types of things, do you feel like are imperative to your success? Whether it's like family support is a common one that we get mentioned with some of our guests. Obviously, things like hard work, being able to adapt to spontaneity, which I struggle with highly. Different things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll talk to you, Elaine, about all those things that were kind of spark plugs for your success when we come back. As listeners of the Chasing Dreams podcast, we know that you demand the highest quality at all times. If you're interested in quality, look no further than Beast Mode Baking. Beast Mode Baking aims to bring the highest quality, creative, and of course delicious baked goods to your home with nationwide shipping. All orders need to be pre-ordered to ensure they're packed fresh and shipped out to you as soon as possible. Beast Mode Baking offers a flat rate of $15 for shipping due to the size and weight of the cookies and doughs. So if you're interested in Beast Mode Baking, please contact CEO Shannon Knorr. That's at SKNORR13 on Instagram, and order your delicious baked goods today, because every time you support them, you're supporting the podcast as well. And we are back from our commercial break. All right, guys, prior to the break, we mentioned that this is kind of a lifelong dream come true for you, Elaine. So what did it take for you to get to this point in terms of like character traits? So like something I think about is like, what type of character flaws do I have? Because I always do like that self-analysis, like what do I suck at? And I honestly could give you a longer list of things that I'm bad at than things that I'm good at. Same. Because I'm very like self-analyzing. Like Justin, you and I talk about that all the time. Like one of the things that you and I focus on at the gym is negatives.
Yep.
And we have training partners that do the same thing. So I think it's important to kind of see where your flaws are, where your strengths are, and then when you do achieve, a relative degree of success, what traits got you there. And that's kind of something we've done with all of our guests, is find out that, the best fit line through their success plots. Like, what do you do that makes you successful that Justin and I can implement? So like, what type of character traits or personality things do you have, aside from the cliche things like hard work, like who or what do you have to thank for the position you're in right now? Like, what did you do in terms of allowing yourself to kind of bite the bullet and really make this dream a reality?
Well, obviously the whole reason that we're even here, my son.
Yeah.
I mean, that he is like, I have 3 kids. I have 3 adult kids. But Isaiah is obviously the inspiration behind all of this, and the reason why I'm doing this. So obviously him. I have a very, very strong support system in my husband and my other 2 adult kids. When I told them that I wanted to do this, there wasn't ever like, Mom, or you're crazy. Like, are you, it was, Mom, this is awesome. My husband, I always say he makes me feel like I could take on the world with a water gun. Like he's always there, like to support me and encourage me. And, never like questions any time I come up with some cockamamie thing I want to do next. He's always like, okay, I believe in you. And I don't want to sit here and like pat myself on the back, but
that we're giving you the platform to do that. You should.
Yeah. If you need a hand, hello.
My son said one time, we were in a situation, and I made a comment about a woman that she was doing something better than a man at the time. And my son made the comment. He said, well, that's because women are stronger than men. And I was like, well, why would you say that? And he said, because I've watched you my whole life. And my life has been filled with a lot of adversity. I had my daughter I literally graduated high school one week and had my daughter the next. And then I raised my 3 kids as a single mom for 14 years until I was married to my husband. So during that time, I had 3 kids. I always worked, raising one with autism, and went back to college as a non-traditional student. would take a bus to Pittsburgh at 5 o'clock in the morning to get my degree. So nothing in my life has ever been easy, to say the least. So I feel like that kind of, it's been a big pain in the butt because sometimes you just want something to just like be smooth. But I feel like that has helped me along the way because I'm like, okay, if I can get through this, then I can get through anything.
Mm-hmm.
So when I set my sights on wanting to do this, it was just kind of like, I want to do this. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do it. And if it works out, wonderful. If it doesn't, I can say that I accomplished this goal, that I set out to accomplish it, and I did. And not to, I don't know what the rules are on the podcast, but I have to say, like, my faith has gotten me through so much. Like, I'm very, very strong in my faith. And before I even sought out to do this, I prayed about it, and I feel like that's why, it has been blessed, because I feel like this is definitely, like something that God is allowing me to do, and that He's working through me, to be able to help people and improve. So He's who I have to give the credit to above anybody. But
it's amazing because it feels like all of your stuff is coming from different angles. So working with kids and working with people. I mean, the three of us work with people every day. And one of the things you have to balance is like tough love and true love. So you have to balance the hard, aggressive, assertive, like kind of negative reinforcement with people at times. And then you got to just as often, if not more frequently, love them. And, we used to say, Coach Williams, Jordan Williams, who was a former guest on our show, he always said this saying, coach him hard and love him harder. So I feel like to your life, you've kind of had that coming from both ways. You've had the toughness element of development that you needed with, growing up and going through some adversity, but then you also had the love that you needed coming from a supportive family. And then the third, like, of that triangle is the faith-based, like kind of like this is the good that makes me comfortable, this is the bad that makes me strong, and this is the light that guides me forward. So you kind of had a nice, I know at the time when you're going through some stuff, you don't think that it's the perfect storm, but you really had a nice little avenue to success in terms of having it come from all angles. Because Justin and I both have, very deep thoughts philosophically about not just religion, but spirituality in general and purpose. Absolutely. And that's kind of the one thing that when you look at success that I feel like I struggle with in a sense, or have struggled with, and I've gotten better at, is like self-actualization. Like, why am I here? What is my purpose? What is my goal with things? Like, am I making an impact? Like, everybody wants to be a millionaire that sits at home and does nothing, but I don't think that they want that if they get that, because it's not fulfilling. So you had a very defined purpose, it seemed like.
I used to, I'm just going to be very, very transparent here, and I hope this doesn't upset anybody.
No, please do.
But there were so many times when Isaiah was small, and it was very, very difficult. I mean, he had horrible, horrible behaviors. To the point that I had a doctor tell me there's places for kids like him. He was violent. He was very physical with me. And then I had these two other kids. And there were times where we were just okay, how are we supposed to get through another day like this? He would just run out the house and run out to the street. I mean, it was bad. Yeah. And there was a period of time that I was angry with God, because I was like, I'm a single mom. You could have given Isaiah to anybody on this earth. Anybody else could have made his life so much better. Why did you choose me? I can't do this, And it's so funny because I look at him now, and he's given my life so much purpose. And I'm like, I get it. I get why you gave him to me. All those times that were so hard that we didn't think we could get through it. It's so worth it now, because he is my purpose. He is I'm 45 years old, and I finally have discovered my passion and my purpose. And it's
nothing wrong with that.
It's okay, I get it now, and it was all worth it.
And once you find purpose, I feel like it makes everything easy. like with you, Justin, we talked about that on several episodes where your impetus or spark of what got you started in health and fitness and weight loss was the ideology or the foresight that he was going to have a kid. And you said, I wanted to be, I mean, you told me several times about wanting to be able to do things with your future daughter that you now have. And just being able to be an exemplar of health and wellness for them.
Right.
And absolutely. I feel like because that was your what brought you to the gym in the first place.
100%. It's for me it was I had to that was my passion, my dream was to have kids and have a family, and I could not do that where I was, so I had to figure out how to change it, and that's whatever it took. That's so wonderful. It makes sense, and like just kind of echo, you were telling that story, that you weren't sure you could tell on here. And the only thing I could think was, we don't get to choose the path. We just have to walk it. Mm-hmm. So, it's all in His hands. You said that already, and I agree with you 100%. So, I love it. This has been one of my favorites for sure so far.
And it's really hard though, because it's very easy in hindsight to look at what you're going through as being purposeful and impactful and meaningful and developmental for you. But it's difficult when you're going through it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's very easy. And I always talk to people about this, especially because I'm fortunate enough where I have a lot of students in the building that I teach at from all different grade levels that will come to me for advice when they're going through things. And one of the things I always tell them is that they need to be kind of self-aware that the advice they're getting may not be applicable, but it's the best that someone can do. And one of the things is because, like we spoke about earlier, the lack of relatability. Mm-hmm. So when I have kids coming to me, I try to avoid the cliche stuff. Like, I don't want to tell them, oh, well, you'll get through it, or look at this as a positive, or, this type of obstacle is going to make you stronger, because it's easy for me to say that when I'm not currently going through any trauma. Well, then when the tables turn and I'm going through something very difficult, I am not a level-headed person. I'm not the person that's going to say, hey, this adversity that I got in, this car accident that ruined my car and now I need to pay $30,000 for, this is going to make me a better person. This is going to make me tougher. Like, you don't think that way when you're going through stuff. But when you look in hindsight, it's very easy to look back and say, you know what, that made me a better person. So one of the things that I tell the kids that come to me and I give people the advice of, and it may not be good advice, but it's the advice that I believe in, is that it may take a while for his plan to come to fruition, but just know that I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. Like that old saying, I believe in that wholeheartedly, because I've had too many things happen in my life, good things, bad things, strange things, indifferent things, that down the road I said, that's why that happened. Now I get it. So some people, it's easy to get frustrated, like you said, Elaine, and then especially in the short term, like, why did this happen to me? Why me? And I'll be honest, I think it's okay if people are victimized or cry victim from time to time, because we've all been there. It's okay to say, you know what, I feel like my life sucks right now. Mm-hmm. Just when I thought I didn't need anything, especially when I see it all the time, when the biggest thing that bothers me, and this is where you get into understanding why people question faith, is when you see traumatic, awful things happen to great people. Mm-hmm. Or kids. Mm-hmm. And you see a lot of like people in this world that are terrible from a humanitarian perspective. And it just seems like those people always get off free. Mm-hmm. And it's like, not that you wish some of these things on anyone, but like, why does it seem like the good things happen or the bad things happen to the good people? And like, there's always that saying is God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers, but that's also difficult to believe sometimes, because, why did the strongest soldiers deserve that? Like I hope they don't mind mentioning this story, so I won't specify names. I was talking to a parent of someone with a physical disability, and the parent we had a kind of a good conversation about like faith and stuff like that, and she said that ultimately this had kind of made her dismissive of it to a degree, because why did this happen to my child? My child did nothing to deserve this. My child is a wonderful person. We have lived our whole life as great people. Like, why is her life essentially being taken from her? You know, why did that happen? And it's tough because I didn't have any answers for that. So I think that your feelings of like, you know, anger or frustration are completely well warranted. And honestly, I think that it would be weird if you didn't have those feelings. But now you look back and like you said and say, oh yeah, that's why that happened. But I do like one thing I wanted to mention too, to tangent off that briefly, is Justin, she said family as number one. And it seems like
that's the best fit line.
That is the thing that all successful people that we've had on our show all give some type of credit or mention the importance of family. Now, it's important for us to probably clarify for our listeners that that doesn't always mean immediate family, like parents, sons, daughters, spouse, you know, siblings, whatever. That could be your inner circle as a whole. So some of our listeners probably, you know, some of them may not have family that they are in immediate contact with, or they feel comfortable with, or that they feel much support from. So I think that the term family is a little bit more broad and vague than just what people would think as your immediate family. That could be your friends, because, I mean, I have people at the gym that I consider family.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. I feel like the definition of family can like evolve through different situations. Like you have your church family, you have your gym family. Like I'm going to like, over this fitness journey that I've been on, I've developed friendships with, you know, with people that I wouldn't know otherwise, that have literally become part of my life every single day. You know, like I have a friend that I met through all of this, who her and her family drove from Poland, Ohio for Isaiah's drive-by birthday party. That had I not, you know, started this wellness journey, I wouldn't even have known they existed. So I feel like through different stages in life, through the different things that we do, you have people feed into you differently. Like you have your immediate family, you know, like for instance, Charlie, you know, like, gosh, you've said more nice things to me tonight than people I've known my whole life.
Well, it's truthfulness. It's not me trying to be nice.
No, I'm just saying, but you know what I mean? So it's like over time, the people that support you and feed into you, they evolve, I feel like, for the different purposes. And I just wanted to say something to Justin, how you talk about your daughter being your inspiration. I always thought that, like, when I saw women or men exercising, like, oh, that they're so vain. They're so they just care what they look like. But then when your why turns into something like a daughter,
to a who,
yes, or like for me, it started out as like, oh man, I really would like to get some abs. But now I think every single day, there's going to be a time when I'm not going to be on this earth anymore. And my daughter, she's married, she has her life. My younger son, he's going to get married one day and he's going to have a life. But who's going to take care of Isaiah? And that's what I think of every single day. So I'm trying to do the things to prolong my time on earth, to take care of him as much as possible. So it's like, it's not just about, oh, I want to look good in these jeans, or it's evolved into so much more. So like you want to be around for a long time for your daughter. You know, I want to be healthy and strong to take care of Isaiah, hopefully till I'm 100 years old. And, you know, so this whole program that we've developed, it's not just about the individual with special needs. I want it to be like the whole family. I want the whole family to get involved and realize the importance of health and being strong and being there for their individuals. So,
and I know you mentioned this earlier, I believe, but let's just touch on it again. That was one of the things that you brought to the table with the All Abilities Fitness program that you put together, was also allowing caregivers to participate, because it's not just about the individual with the disabilities or the special needs. It's about the caregiver coming in and participating. You know, and again, like I mentioned before, my phone has been blowing up over the past several weeks of people asking to help too. Not just telling me how cool this is. But I have an athlete that plays college basketball who's in special education. She texted me right away and said, "Hey, coach, is there any way that I can do anything for this? I don't care what I have to do. Like, I just want to be a part of it." And, I've had several people to this point, ask questions about how they can be active. So we'll touch on that a little bit when we close. But I want to kind of continue, Elaine, with where you were headed with that, about how this is heading towards big picture, but it's so far away from where you want the end point to be. So when you look forward into the future and you look at this program, and again, we talk about how quickly it's grown, what is the end point for you? Where does the train stop? I don't know if the train ever stops, hopefully, but
Never.
if you project this out, let's do like a market projection, so to speak, like you're going, 6 months, a year, and then you look forward 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. What is your, envisionment of all this stuff eventually?
Well, I have big dreams for this. I'm loving the success that we're seeing so far. I'm curious to see what happens in the summertime when the kids aren't in school. Oh, I should say we go from 13 to adults. So when like all the activities and stuff are over, I'm hoping to see more people have the time to participate. Maybe be able to offer another class during the week, because right now we're just doing on Saturdays. I would love to be able to go to other gyms and present this and show them how they can get it started, in their area. Obviously people within a driving radius can come here and participate, but, even to other states to show them, how to get it. My end dream, obviously, would be to have my, my own facility and to work hours that accommodate my son's schedule right now, to be able to be there for him and not have to worry every day, well, where's he going to go after the workshop? And, and just to kind of be able to have my time to travel and make memories. And that's still a long way down the road. Mm-hmm. But that when I started this, that was the vision that I had. The vision that I had was being my own boss.
Now, in the few months that we've done this, I have to imagine that that was the end goal, or the futuresque picture that you painted. I feel like you probably would allocate some sort of percentage to that, like, yeah, that's where I want to take this, but 25% chance it happens. Like, how much 100%. Is this reached where it's like, this is going to happen, there is no doubt about this, this is where this will end up?
In my mind, I feel that like that's going to be the end goal. Mm-hmm. Whether it's in a multi-million-dollar facility or whether it's in a storefront on St. Clair, I don't know. But I feel like the end result in this is that, because my heart's desire is to work a life that accommodates my son. That's my end goal. Not to have a different person getting him off the van every day when he gets home from the workshop. So that's my end goal. Now, my real end goal would be to have a facility beachside in Florida, if I can convince my husband to move to Florida. But if we're stuck in East Liverpool, that's my end goal, would be to have a place here. Now, whether that would be like, in conjunction with RAM, that we would have a separate, facility that I, headed, and we only offered this program there and could do it all day and do the trainings, or, you just never know. But at the end of the day, I feel that this was all laid on my heart because, like I said, God knows that my end goal is not a selfish goal. It's a goal that would be beneficial to my family. Mm-hmm. And so that's still, who knows how far away, but
it's very, very cool and motivating, I guess, for lack of two better terms, to see that family is what allows you to do this, and it's really ending up going back to family, for family, by family, and that surrounds it, and that's a really good message. So one of the things that we do, Elaine, and you asked me before, because you have been on previous podcasts, as of late, due to all of this stuff that you've kind of given to the world, but one of the things you asked me is the type of questions that we would ask. And I said that Justin and I don't really structure questions. It's very informal. We kind of sit around a table. We got some microphones. We chat. And then I edit with the music. And we don't actually edit the audio. It is what it is. It's how we talk. Here it is, real and transparent. Well, I kind of lied to you. Because one of the things that we do at the end of every episode with guests, we always ask a series of questions from our guests. Justin was the one who put these questions together, and every single guest that we've had on for the over 2 years that we've done this, when we close up shop with them, we always give them a series of questions. So what Justin's going to do is he's going to read you the questions all together. Now there's several of them combined, so it's going to be a little bit too overwhelming for you to try to answer these all at once, I would think. So Justin's going to read all the questions, and then after he's done reading, what we'll do is he'll go back and read them individually, one at a time, and give you like a little bit of response time.
Okay.
You ready?
I think so.
Super easy. So what does the phrase chasing dreams mean to you? Do you feel as though you've chased your dreams thus far? And how do you continue to chase your dreams and help others do the same?
So we'll go back one at a time. So first question.
So what does the phrase chasing dreams mean to you?
So for me, I feel like when something has been laid on your heart, or you have an idea, you feel like, okay, like I think I want to pursue this, and it feels right, then doing the steps that you need to do to go after it. Like, I'm not someone that like, oh, okay, I want to become a personal trainer, and then I just kind of sit around and wait. Like, well, it hasn't happened yet. Like, if I have something, I'm gonna like look it up and take the steps, and I'm gonna do the necessary things that I'm a realist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of those people. Like, I do have a goal thing that I write down goals every morning, like 5 dreams that I want to make come true. And it's so funny because for a year this was a dream on paper, and now it's come to fruition.
Which is that is the exact reason why we wanted you to be on here, to show people that, someone coming from a relatively average background has achieved superior than average things.
So now that dream has been crossed off, and it's been replaced with move somewhere that doesn't get snow. But
well, hopefully it's not too soon. So I love that. So do you feel as though you've chased your dreams thus far?
I feel like I'm jogging towards my dreams right now. Like, it's happening, but I feel like there's still more. So I feel like it's I'm chasing it, but I'm kind of at the place where like I'm running a race, but I'm at the part where I can slow down and kind of enjoy the scenery.
Kick
and
it
then
kick it into
and then maybe in a couple months, like, okay, now we need to sprint a little bit. Right now I'm just kind of taking it all in and enjoying the process.
That's awesome. So, and then how do you continue to chase your dreams and help others do the same?
I feel like basically just what we're doing. Like what we're doing every day. I feel like I'm kind of at a place right now where I can kind of like exhale. But I'm also not staying stagnant. Like there's like I'm still working on things. There's the wheels are always spinning. Like my husband doesn't know this yet, but I'm kind of thinking now of wanting to get like some certification in nutrition. So I'm always trying to think of how can I take this like to the next level? But for right now, I think I'm just kind of like wanting to enjoy like seeing what I worked so hard for the last year, like actually playing out, and just kind of maybe trying to bump that up a notch.
I think that's awesome because I feel like me personally, sometimes I get so focused on progress that I lose sight of being happy with what I've achieved and what's around me. So I felt like that was a message that I needed to hear, is like enjoy the scenery, so to speak, because I feel like
Same.
some of us don't do that enough, particularly myself. I know my flaws better than anybody, and I know that that's something that I don't do very often, is like relish in accomplishments ever, because it's always like, okay, what's next? Not that I am too dismissive or just careless about things that I've achieved, but I think that was a really important message amongst a multitude of important messages you've given us today. So one thing that we always like to do also before we close up is, how can people get in contact with you? And if like people want to help out with the All Abilities Fitness program in our town, we've had people who have donated to our classes and to our program to buy the equipment necessary for the adaptive needs. I even had a friend in New York City who was one of my childhood friends see this on social media and say, hey man, I want to help. Every little bit counts. Mind if I send you $100? So he Venmo'd me $100, and it went into our community bank account for our program. And so if people want to either come to class and watch, or they want to make a financial monetary donation, or they want to donate equipment, or they just want to be able to talk to you and hear more about your journey, or maybe hire you for personal training, because you do more than adaptive needs. You do just general population training as well. So how do people get in contact with you and reach out to you?
Okay, I also want to make a plug too, that the donations that it's also being used to help people that want to participate, that might be a financial burden for them to pay for the classes. So there are scholarships available for that also.
So that's important, because some people may be listening and think that they have someone in mind that this would be great for, but affordability may be a question. Now, I will say that the rates are extremely, extremely, extremely affordable for families to do, but even every little bit helps. And like she said, there are sponsorships available.
So there's a Facebook page that is created. It's the All Abilities Fitness Program. And on there you can see videos, you can see pictures of what we do in the class. There's also a link on there if you would like to order one of our t-shirts, which are so cool. The participants of the class actually designed the shirt.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something I wanted to mention and I completely forgot. So please go into detail about that for a minute.
So what I did was, the one day in class, I gave everybody a picture of a plain t-shirt, and then they had to go home and design the shirt. And then they brought them back the following week. And I went home and kind of put everybody's idea together and came up with the picture. And one of the men in the class came up with the "Get Fit, Have Fun" quote, which is on the back of the shirt. And I'm proud to say that the lettering on the shirt, my son Isaiah did the lettering. So the T-shirt is a group compilation, a group effort in designing the shirt. So to me, that makes it extra special. But there is the Facebook page. It's under All Abilities Fitness Program. You can find my personal Facebook page. It's just Elaine Gardner, and I have a family-friendly Facebook page. It's appropriate for a 3-year-old, a preacher, my employer. So there's nothing on there that's offensive. And I'm also on Instagram under eGardner76, and you can also contact us through Ram Fitness. And so those would be, I would say, if you're interested in the All Abilities Fitness Program, to go on the Facebook page. If you message, we'll try to get back to you within 24 hours.
And then we also have, I will give a little bit of some side info here with that in regards to the t-shirts, because we have the t-shirts for sale that if people want to buy them, and it's pretty cool because I've seen people wearing them around the gym lately. So at our gym, we have like a QR code that you can just scan and it takes you to the link. I also have what's called a link tree, if people are familiar with it, where I have a lot of links to different things like the podcast and my training surfaces and different websites that I'd like people to visit. And I have that in the bio of my Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram at NoExcuseCharlie, there's a link in my link tree which will take you directly to purchase the shirts. So I'm assuming that most of the people who have listened to this podcast, not all, but most probably follow me or have seen my Instagram profile. So if you guys go, again, that's at No Excuse Charlie, you can purchase one of the t-shirts. So it's very motivating and fulfilling to see those sorts of things around. And being someone who has like started projects and started kind of working towards my own self-improvement, I know what it feels like when the branding grows. And so like I have to say, like, I'm genuinely happy isn't the right word. It's like when you talked about happy versus joy. Like there's like jubilance about me when I think about how fast everything is growing for you, and I'm like genuinely happy for you because
Thank you.
my stuff is not nearly as impactful as yours is, I wouldn't think, but the message behind it remains the same, that you're trying to give people tools to be successful in their own life. So I went through a little bit of almost like an emotional moment when I see the brand that I created growing. And so I know exactly what you're going through right now. So I'm very, very happy for you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Are there any other closing remarks that you'd like to add before Justin and I close up for the night?
Yeah, just one more thing. If anybody is thinking of wanting to bring a loved one to the class, I just wanted to say that the classes are small. There's like 5 or 6 participants per class. And we do that just for obvious reasons. You know, we don't want things to be overwhelming. We want to be able to give people the attention that they need. So we try to keep the class size no more than 8. So if that's a concern for somebody, I know we had one person that they thought they were going to come and there was going to be like 20 people in the class and they weren't real sure. So I just want to reiterate that we are sensitive to people's needs and sensory issues and things like that. So, and if you're unsure and you want to come check out the first class for free. We know you'll fall in love and you'll be back. And so
awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, absolutely. We're going to boost this to a lot of people and hopefully continue to get the message out.
For sure.
So with that, we have come to the end of another episode of the Chasing Dreams podcast with Charlie and Justin. As always, we appreciate your guys' listenership and we look forward to hearing back from you guys next week.
Unbreakable, unstoppable, I'm pushed to